When we design our websites with Divi 5 with the same modules, you can see here that we are pretty much limited to these few. And you know what? Some of these are not even designed in a really, really nice way unless you go in and really customize them. So if you want to take your designs to the next level, you need to create your own modules. Now, I'm going to share with you some tips that I've used to create your own modules. All right, so let's dive in. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add a text module. So here I want to show you a really cool technique, which is merging, or rather nesting your modules. So this is a text one. So I'm going to go in and add, say, a button. Okay. So when you add a button and a text module, you can see they're separated. Okay, but this is not how we want to design. How to design this is by combining the two. So let's go ahead and add our text module again, but this time I want you to notice something really important. If I click on this and then over here on the content, I'm going to scroll down and there's this option here called elements. Okay, so elements here is very, very important because this right here is where we are able to go in and add our element inside. So this time I'm going to add my button. Now these two may look the same, but they are different, and I'll prove to you that these are different. If I were to go in this one here and add a background color, you're going to notice that my background color here is applying to the whole thing. Okay, but if I try and do the same over here on the top, it is different, because if I go in and add my background color like that, you can see it's all detached. So this proves that here we can do all sorts of things now in terms of designing our own modules. So I'm going to go in and get rid of this. So with this now, I have the ability to go in and start using Flexbox. So if I come over here to design, layout, I can go in and, you know, start using Flexbox. Now you see there, things are moving. You see that? So now I can build custom modules. I can center things here. I can set it as a column as it was. I can also reverse it and so on. So this was just a quick example. Okay, but now let's design something that is a bit more realistic and a bit more practical. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off here with let's go with a single column. Okay, but in this column, we're going to start off with a group. Okay, so now that we have a group, the first thing I'm going to add in here is an image. Okay, and then after the image, I'm going to add a heading, and then after the heading I'm going to add how about a paragraph. Okay, so I'm just going to go with my normal text, oops, like that, and then after the text I'm going to add two buttons, but they're going to be inside a group. So I'm going to choose this group, and then I'm going to add a button here and duplicate the button. Okay, so over here you can see that I have these two buttons, right? But I want them side by side. So what I need to do is to come over here and select group settings. And then over here on the design, I can go to layout and then change my direction. So now I have one complete item which I can go in and customize. So let's say I want to add a bit of padding around this. I'm going to select the group settings, and then over here under spacing. And by the way, for this, I am using my design framework to make things easier for me. So as you can see, I can just go quickly and add medium, and I've applied padding around this. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is to go in and add a background color. So I'm going to go to background. So this color here is being added to the group. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to background and light. All right. So now I have light background. So at this stage, I can go in now and adjust my spacing. So again, I'm going to select my group settings. Over here on the advanced tab, I'm going to now, I'm going to go to design. Okay, so we need to be over here on the design. So with design selected, I can just come over here on the layout and say gap 0. So what I've done now is I've removed all the gaps here so I can go in and apply it manually. So I'm going to go in now and choose my paragraph text here. And then for my spacing, I'm going to go in and say, okay, margin top. We're going to go with small. And then over here, I'm going to choose the group. And then back over here, I'm going to say margin top. In fact, large is too much. Let's just go with margin top small. Okay. Now the final part I need to work on is the heading here. So I'm going to select it. So with that selected, again, I'm going to go on the spacing and I'm going to say margin top. And this time it's going to be large. Okay. So now that I've built this, it is pretty much my own design. All I have to do now is just to add an image. Hopefully I have my image here. And yeah, sure enough, I have some images. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's say this one, and then upload an image. So now I have a design element in here, which I can use over and over and over again. So you may be asking, so how do we, save this? So if I come over here, okay, I can, in fact, before I do that, let's fix this. So this is going to be heading 3. So I'm going to select my heading here, go into design. Okay. So on the heading text here, in fact, I need to do it over here. It's going to be heading 3. Okay. And then for the paragraph text, I'm going to go in and we're going to set this to body texts. Okay, let's go with base. In fact, base is a bit too much. Let's go with small. Okay, since this is going to be used in as a small item. So now that I have this, I know it looks massive, but ideally, what we want to do with this is to, first of all, let's fix our buttons here. So let's go in and add our button secondary. Secondary button. Okay, and then for this one here, let's see, I'm going to go in and add a light version. So let's add a neutral. Okay, like that. All right, so now that I have this, I'm pretty much happy with this. But one more thing I need to do here is to just increase my padding around this. So instead of medium, I'm going to go with large. Okay, so now I have a bit more spacing around my design element. So with this now, I can go in and save this to the library. So I'm going to say save to library. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this Mac. Let's call this Mac card. Okay, let's call this Mac card 01. Okay. So now that I have this now, what I can do is save it to the cards and then add to the library. So now that it's added to the library, I can delete this and I can start a new layout now by clicking over here, and then I can say add from library. So Mac card 01 is here. So I'm going to select that and say use this module. Okay. So now I have it. I'm going to duplicate this, say twice. Okay. And then I'm going to go into my row settings. And this time I need to go into the column. So the column here is very important because this is where I'll be able to control my flex box. So I'm going to select that. And you can see these are my 3 groups that I've just added, which are right here. So I can now go into design, layout, and then go to Flexbox. Now you're going to notice that these are really, really massive, right? So there's a few things we need to do. First of all, we need to activate our column grid. So I'm going to go to my row and then set this to content row. Okay, so that's step 1. So as I'm looking at this, my padding here is a bit too much. You see, when I was designing it before, the size, didn't look right. It looked like it was a bit too small. Okay, and my buttons here don't look great as well. So what you can do is you can go in and let's go in and adjust our padding. So instead of large, we're going to set this to medium. Okay, now our buttons here still look massive. So these are the sort of tweaks you do when you see that things are not working. So I'm going to select that. Instead of secondary button, I'm going to go with button small. Secondary button small, like that. And then of course we're going to change this as well. So let's duplicate this. Okay, so I'm going to change this in a moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete that and delete this as well, and then duplicate this one here. So make sure you're duplicating the group. Okay, so this is what you need to be clicking. Okay, so I'm going to do it once and twice. So now my design is looking much better. So at this stage, if you want to make any tweaks, you can go in and start making your tweaks. So for example, here my gap between my buttons doesn't look great, so I'm going to go with my gap small. You see that? I'll do the same here. I'm going to go in and say gap small. I know I could have used shortcuts, and let's do gap small as well. Okay, so now this is done. If you want, you can save another instance of this, but if you wanted to update this and make sure that it has the right settings and the right layout, well, you can just go back to the library and make your changes there to the library, and next time you use it, it's going to be updated. So it is very, very easy to use, and as you can see, I've created my own card. I don't have to rely on the blurb, because as you can see here, this is way more flexible than using our blurb. In fact, let me show you what the blurb looks like if we were trying to use that. So you see, it has a title, it has the text as I have here, it has the image as well, but we are limited. It doesn't have any buttons here, so I would need to go in and customize my buttons. And I noticed that, you know, without using your CSS, it's also quite difficult to go in and adjust this gap over here. Okay, so these are the advantages of designing and creating your own modules and saving them to the library. This just enables you to have more resources, and instead of saying, you know what, Divi comes with very few modules, well, technically you can build your own modules. In the first example, I showed you how to combine two modules, and in this example I showed you how to use this as a group. Now I have a course coming up called Divi Mastery, Divi 5 Mastery. Go ahead and check it out. It is only $27, but I'm also adding the new one. It's called Divi Mastery 2. This has all the updated features. This will be going for $37, but if you purchase this one here, you will get this absolutely free. Okay, so go ahead. The link to that will be in the video description below. As you can see, there's 1,290 students already, so it is quite popular. This course will just teach you everything you need to know about Divi 5, saving you hours and hours of going online and searching how Divi 5 actually works. So go ahead, check it out. The link to that will be in the video description below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.